Donald nor Mr. Utano work for the CBSA. I have no authority over them. Their deputy heads have taken action.
Okay, understanding that, what's your plan to figure out whether this is happening in other cases? Have you looked to see if this is taking place in more than this instance?
So twofold. I have the investigation underway, and the investigation is going to canvass all of those issues. And I have a committee set up that's looking at every contract and asking the questions and trying to understand before any approvals are given.
Okay, now that you've got this committee working, has the committee come back to you already and flagged other contracts that are of concern?
So the committee is forward-looking. We are reviewing documents relating to contracts on ArriveCan and the billing around that. To your question, I have the internal investigation that will be canvassing how CBSA was engaging with contractors during this period, not limited to Bottler GC strategies. So I look forward to those conclusions. I look forward to...
When do we expect to have those conclusions? I mean, this could run for years, right? We don't want that. We want to make sure that we get results. That's what this committee wants.
I'm very impatient. I need to make sure I don't translate that impatience into undue pressure. I'm trying to preserve the integrity of the investigation. I'm impatient, and I hope that everybody involved will participate so that we can wrap it up as soon as possible. I would hesitate to give a date at this time.
Okay. Mr. Azowski, we've been told that GC Strategies was chosen over Deloitte because Deloitte was in the penalty box, and you commented about that earlier, but it was highlighted that it was for its poor work on the CARM contract. But Mr. Doan says that's not the reason. So why was Deloitte in the penalty box, or are you even aware of why? And what was the nature of the problems with Deloitte's work?
As I said in my opening remarks, the relationship was businesslike and cordial at that time. No one was in the penalty box. I reviewed all the emails, and there's nothing to suggest it was anything different than that. It was normal.
Okay, Ms. McCormick, can you comment on that since you're in the current role?
I can't comment about the statements that were made, but I would say that the cordial and business-like relationship continues.
So Deloitte's never been in the penalty box, or in your view, under your watch? And you're not aware of that in the past?
No.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Gomes. Okay. Mr. Brock, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. O'Gorman, your responses to the questions put to you by my colleague, Ms. Kuzi, as to why both Mr. McDonald, who was a Director General of the CBSA, and Mr. Antonio Utano, who was a Vice President of the CBSA, as to why they were suspended without pay. I find your responses to be lacking in clarity. Clearly you know a lot more. We're going to ask you questions about that because Canadians deserve a full, frank answer as to why both of these senior civil servants have been treated in the fashion that they have. And these are extremely unusual circumstances, so much so that the report put forth by Bill Curry in the Globe and Mail was able to speak with the former clerk of the Privy Council office, Mr. Michael Wernick, who said that public finger-pointing by senior servants is highly unusual. He cannot recall any other instance of such public disagreement. Is it an outlier? Yes. Suspensions without pay are also rare. It's a strong measure to suspend without pay while a process is underway and no conclusions have been reached. Usually disciplinary measures follow an investigation being completed, and suspension with pay is more common in the early stages, he said. It's also a very strong measure to suspend or permanently revoke a security clearance. It is tantamount to removing someone from that job and any other job that requires that level of clearance. It is not a common occurrence. Your decisions at the CBSA, as directed and delivered to the other ministries these two individuals have worked for, have destroyed their lives. And Canadians deserve an answer. Parliamentarians deserve an answer as to why due process was not provided to them that very draconian measures were taken against them. So I'm going to be asking you a number of questions. Who did you speak with, ma'am, on suspending the 2 public servants on the $54 million ArriveCan app? You said it wasn't your decision, but clearly you participated in the ultimate recommendation that they be removed. Who did you speak with?
That's not accurate at all. I didn't speak to either of their deputy heads about the actions they were taking.
You received a preliminary report from investigators in your department. Did those investigators recommend suspension? No. Who did?
The decisions were taken by the deputy heads. I shared the preliminary statements of fact with their deputy heads.
What did the preliminary statements of fact, how is it so damning against those 2 individuals that you felt it prudent to pass on to the other ministries?
It included, as the emails that you have received, information about engagements with consultants, a whole series of information that, as their deputy heads, I felt they had a right to have. They did not consult me on their actions.
Why did you claim that they were a national security risk?
I never claimed that.
Were you aware that that was the language that was used in their suspension letters?
I haven't seen their suspension letters.
Completely blind to that. You had no knowledge of that.
I'm not their deputy head. They don't work
And the
for
deputy
me.
head never spoke to you at all? They alone made that decision?
They alone made that
Is your
decision.
evidence today?
They alone made that decision.
Okay, so identify those deputy heads for us, please. Who are they?
Bob Hamilton is the commissioner of the CRA, and Stephen Lucas is the deputy head of Health Canada.
How many communications did you have with both of those individuals?
I let them know that I would be sharing a, pardon?
How did you let them know? Emails? Telephone call? Letter?
I called them, and I indicated
When did you call?
when.
When?
Soon after I received it. I received the package the 19th of December,
Follow up with an email?
possibly.
Okay, you'll provide this committee with any and all manners of communication to those 2 deputy heads surrounding the preliminary findings from your investigators in your ministry. You can do that?
And the
You can have that to us within 2 weeks? Okay?
yeah.
Did they communicate back to you?
They told me after the facts, the decision they had taken.
They communicated that they took the decision to suspend without pay.
They informed me that they had taken actions.
Communicated that to you in what manner?
In a phone call, as I recall.
Official, nothing, no email, no letter?
No
Just a
reason
phone
to
call?
inform me officially. They are the deputy heads of those
Right,
employees.
that we're taking the most drastic of
Can you wrap up,
remedies
Mr. Brock?
that we're taking the most drastic of remedies against these 2 whistleblowers who spoke truth to power, and they only communicated that via telephone.
The employees work for them.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. Mr.